Welcome back. You're watching All About IPOs, the show that helps you decide which IPO you should be investing in. We have a guest join us on the show today, Jagannathan Thunugutla. Thank you so much for joining us. He's the head of research at SMC Global. He looks at IPOs in particular. Now, the first one we're talking about on the show is Lovable Lingerie. It's a company that owns two brands of women's innerwear in India, and they're hitting the market next week. Now, before we go across to meet the company and the management, my colleague Yatin is here to give us a quick introduction into the financials of the company and what this issue is going to be about. Yatin.
Well, I will quickly run you through the Lovable Lingerie Limited IPO, which opens on Tuesday, March 8th, and the issue closes on March 11, 2011. The company is planning to issue close to 45.5 lakh shares of 10 rupees each, and this particular IPO is targeting to raise a sum of 93 crores on the higher end of the price band. The investment bankers have fixed the IPO price band at rupees 195 to 205 per equity share, and the company shares are proposed to be listed on BSE as well as NSE. Most of the IPO funds will be used to set up a new manufacturing facility in Bangalore, and part of the funds will go into the investment for the joint venture as well as to meet the brand building expenses. On the other hand, CARE Ratings has given the IPO a grade of 3 on a scale of 5, which indicates average fundamentals. If we also see, there is one more aspect to the IPO. Sequoia Capital, which is one of the private equity investors, has invested into Lovable at a price of 200 rupees per share.
In fact, we also caught up with L. Vinay Reddy, the managing director at Lovable Lingerie, and asked him about the financials of the company and what he plans to do with the proceeds of the IPO.
Yeah, our company and its two brands, we operate more than one distribution channel. Our flagship brand Lovable reaches out to 1,400 multi-brand premium retail stores which sell the top end of lingerie. These include all the major department store chains where we have exclusive counters. Besides our second flagship brand, Daisy D, this is a mass market brand for which we operate a mass distribution network. And this brand, through its distributors, reaches 7,500 retail stores. We have closed the last financial year, March 10, with a top line of 87 crores and a bottom line of approximately 10 crores. And in the current financial year, for the December 9-month period, we have achieved a top line of 88 crores and a bottom line in excess of 12 crores. One chunk of the IPO proceeds in the form of the pre-IPO placement has already been completed and received by the company. And in total, we expect the pre-IPO and the IPO component as for the price band to net the company about 110 crores gross.
Right, that was the management of Lovable Lingerie. Now, the IPO's book building is being managed by Anand Rathi. We also caught up with Padam Jain, the executive director at Anand Rathi Investment Banking. We asked him how they arrived at a valuation of 195 to 205 per share, and this is what he had to say.
For any IPO process, what we do is we do the initial marketing with the institutions and find what is the demand for a particular paper. In this case, the demand, when we went to the market, it was a very good demand, very good appetite for this particular sector from the institutions. And Sequoia came in as an investor at the pre-IPO stage, and they took 6% stake, 10 lakh shares at 200 rupees each, which is almost the price band which we have fixed for 95 to 205. So I would say that considering that there has been a huge demand, and the Sequoia has supported us, and likewise other institutions where we are holding the road shows in India and abroad, there has been so much of demand that I'm sure this issue will be a grand success. And also we are looking into the anchor investors. Issue is opening on 8th. On Monday we may close the anchor investors, and I'm sure there will be demand as per the requirements. The minimum contribution which has to come from the anchor investors would be subscribed fully by Monday.
That was Padam Jain of Anand Rathi. Mr. Jagannathan, from your opinion of this IPO at 195 to 205, do you think it makes an interesting opportunity for retail investors?
Before getting into the pricing, I think the company itself is an interesting concept. And as the Indians are getting into the brand conscious kind of mindset, and people have the disposable income, they want to buy as many goods, as many things as the better lifestyle products. I believe these kind of companies will definitely have all the advantage. On top of that, the company also has seen the private equity funding from Sequoia Capital, about 20 crore rupees. So that gives a stamp of authority, and because Sequoia Capital is one of the most respected private equity fund in the institutional field. So that shows that they have conviction and the confidence about the company's management and the product. They have invested at 200 rupees per share. So I think 195 and 205 in that context is more or less at the same price at which the private equity fund has invested. And also after the IPO, as per the rules, Sequoia Capital has to stay invested for at least 1 year as per the lock-in period of SEBI guidelines. So there is a long-term commitment as well as from the private equity fund. Overall, the company has been doing well and good financials and healthy margins, and the company is growing very fast. Overall, I think the company has all the makings of a very interesting new theme. I believe the company should get decent response. I think even in the medium to long term, it will be a good earning opportunity for the investors.
Alright, so this might be a good idea. If you remember, CARE has given this IPO rating of 3 out of 5, which indicates average fundamentals. But if you're looking at something for the slightly longer term, like Jagannathan suggested, this might be an interesting theme to consider, considering that it is about lifestyle, and those are the companies that are doing well in this country and hold a lot of promise in the long term. Lovable Lingerie IPO, like I said, opens on the 8th of March. If you have any questions about that IPO, feel free to write to us at the email ID that is flashing at the bottom of your screen. All right, we're going to slip into a quick break. On the other side, when we come back, a very interesting offer coming into our market. It's called Tree House Preschool. This is the first preschool company that will be listing in the Indian market. We're going to come back, talk a little bit about the company, meet the management as well, and find out whether it makes sense for you to consider an investment. Don't go anywhere.